This is Glenn Campbell, coming to you from the woods of Massachusetts, talking today about personality. There's a paradox of personality. The paradox is this: people can change. People can change the way they operate, the way they respond to things. That's the good news. The bad news is you can't change other people. This is in the nature of personality. First of all, what is personality? Personality is the unique characteristics that each of us have, the unique operating procedures that each of us have. If each of us looked the same, exactly the same, if we all looked like clones of each other, we would still distinguish ourselves by our mode of behavior, by our personality. And we know this looking around at the people that we deal with every day. The butcher, the baker, our family members, our friends, each of those people has their own unique personality. We know that in certain circumstances, they're going to react in a certain way. And we tailor our behavior to that reaction. We know that there's certain people we can open up to and talk to about things, and other people that we can't talk to because we know they're going to go off the deep end if we tell them too much. That's a manifestation of their personality and our response to it, knowing what they're going to do. This is ingrained. A personality has many good traits and many bad traits. It's a combination of our genetic heritage and the environment we grew up in. All the things that we experienced as children are incorporated in our personality. They become our operating mode today. When we say that personalities can change, a person can decide, I'm going to react to something differently. I've been doing things the wrong all along. I'm going to start today doing something differently. People can change. People do it. Just like addictions. People can quit smoking. People can smoke for years and then decide one day, I'm going to quit. They do it and they stick to it. This happens. It really happens. However, you, on the outside, cannot make them quit smoking. If you have ever tried to help someone quit smoking, they come to you and say, I really want to quit. Here, take my cigarettes. No matter how I scream and yell, no matter how I beg, don't give my cigarettes back to me. Well, what happens when they get this hankering for cigarettes? They come to you and I want their cigarettes back. Okay, if you've ever stuck yourself in the middle of that situation, you know what it's like to try to change someone's ingrained behavior. Now, you may say that cigarette smoking is entirely different than people's behavior in other areas. If someone has a certain noxious behavioral characteristics, that's not the same as smoking. Well, I say it is the same as smoking. When people repeat the same patterns of behavior over time, it's essentially an addiction. It's essentially ingrained in their brain. And you take them out, if someone is having a lot of trouble in one city, you pick them up and stick them in a whole new environment, they're going to recreate the same problems they had before because their personality, their method of operating is still ingrained in them. You cannot change this from the outside. It's an addiction just like cigarette smoking. You cannot reason your way out of it. You cannot talk people out of their dysfunctional habits. You on the outside can't do these things, and if you try, you're going to fail. I hate to be so pessimistic, but that's the truth. If you marry someone and you discover certain traits that you didn't know about before you married them, and you decide, but I can work with them, I can change them, give it up. You can't. They are not going to change from any pressure you put on the outside. They're not going to change by any reasoning you put on the outside. They're only going to change when some little switch goes off in their head and they decide to change. And this cannot happen from the outside. It's just like smoking. When the person brings the cigarettes to you and says, help me quit, they're not going to quit because by giving you the cigarettes, they're putting the blame on you. They're putting the responsibility on you to keep the cigarettes away from them. They have to make that decision to change, and they have to make it internally. You cannot bug them every day and say, have you quit smoking? Have you quit smoking? What are they going to do? They're just going to get mad. You cannot talk to them about how smoking is going to kill you, because they know perfectly well that smoking is going to kill them. They still can't change because they're still not taking responsibility for this addiction themselves. The same thing with any kind of dysfunctional behavior. We can look at a person and we can say, he's doing things the wrong way. If he could only change this one personality trait, then he could succeed. And to us on the outside, it's so plain. And we want to say to them, all you need to do is stop being such an asshole. Or whatever the particular trait is that they, stop this particular trait that they have. Some people are bores. Some people are just over-controlling, are control freaks. They're just, let's say, take your typical control freak. Someone has to be in control of everything, and you want to scream to them, just relax. Let the problem take care of itself. And it seems so rational to you, but there's no way you can impress it upon him. If you yell at him, he's going to yell back. If you reason with him, he's going to come up with a counter-reasoning. You cannot change them from the outside. The good news is, you can change you. You have personality traits. You have things that are functional, things that are dysfunctional. You have methods of operating that were useful for you earlier in your life that are dysfunctional now. You can decide right now, wait, that didn't work. That method that I just used didn't work. I just got angry at someone and it didn't help things at all. I'm not going to do that anymore. And it has to be in the present tense, however. It's just like saying, I really need to go on a diet, but I'll do it next week. There's this nice meal in front of me. I'll do it tomorrow. If you say that, it's never going to happen. If you decide to change, it has to be now, in the present tense. If you decide, I can quit smoking, it has to happen right now. It's really only a matter of thinking you can do it, with smoking or with any other personality trait. All you have to do is think, yes, I can change this trait, and you can change it. It's very painful to quit smoking. Very painful to change your past behavior. You know that 20 minutes after you quit smoking, you're going to get this painful hankering for a cigarette. And you've got to barge right through that. You've got to plow right through it. And people do it all the time. People climb Mount Everest. People endure enormous pain just by thinking that they can do it. You think you can change. If you believe you can change yourself, then you can do it. Simple. Just like flipping a switch. Literally flipping a switch. You can do that for yourself only. You can't do it for someone else. The only thing you could do for someone else is react to the behavior in an appropriate way. You can protect your own boundaries when that behavior intrudes into those boundaries. If someone is smoking in your presence, you don't like secondhand smoke, you say, I can't be here while you're smoking. And you leave. That's all you can do. That's the only thing you can do. And in most cases, the only option that you have to control someone else's behavior is you can leave. If you walk out on someone who's smoking, they have to make a decision. Do they like their cigarette more than they like you? It's up to them. Most cases, they're going to choose the cigarette. You can only do what you can do to protect your own boundaries. That's the only control you have over other people. Even with children, you could tell them, if you do this, mommy is going to do something bad to you. They'll get the message a lot faster than adults will, but you're not there to change their personality. You're there to change their behavior. That's the only thing you can change with people. You can react to their behavior when it intrudes into your world. So give up on it. Don't try to change people. Do what you can. Withdraw when you need to withdraw, and move on. Move on to another relationship. Seriously. If this behavior is bad enough that it's intruding into your area, move on. It's the best thing you can do for yourself and the best thing you can do for them, because only the real consequences and real responsibility are going to change their behavior.